Hi guys, welcome back to Diablo 4 Sorc Run, level 26.
Yeah, look, this is still a kangaroo court, Harris, and the fact that anybody thinks, $175 million bond is somehow a major win, that's down, when I jotted down the math, about $279 million if I did my math right, and I'm not always great at live on the fly math there, so I was used to still say to my radio listeners, but that is a massive difference because it gives Trump more financial flexibility. And here is what I don't think is getting talked about enough, Harris, is when Truth Social goes public, which is going to happen very soon, Donald Trump is going to have over $3 billion in liquid assets, and that new board is able to free him up to use those assets. As Lexi was just talking about, I think, with you right before, one of the challenges when it comes to real estate is it's hard to know exactly what a tangible asset is worth in real time. Yeah. Because it's somewhat like a work of art in that somebody can decide that that real property has a value that's very different than someone else. And certainly when you have to monetize it in a short turnaround, the value is lessened. That's how real estate works. Everybody out there who has ever gotten an appraisal, for instance, to get a new mortgage, understands that you might get a number that's better or worse than you anticipate when someone comes and checks out your personal residence. It's not that much different when you expand it into a larger commercial real estate context. What's going on here, and I think this is blowing up in Democrats' faces in a big way, is they've tried to argue Donald Trump is not very rich. I don't think that's registering very well with voters out there, and this is about trying to financially hamstring him while they are also trying to criminally hamstring him through the concept of lawfare. And Harris, what I think is happening is Trump is stacking suddenly a lot of victories. Many people see this for what it is, a witch hunt. And the courtroom machinations that Democrats expected to destroy Trump are actually blowing up in their face in a devastating goal, and they're actually elevating Trump. I have a Democratic progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who said this about the district attorney in New York, Letitia James, seizing Trump's attorney general, Letitia James, seizing Trump's assets. Let's watch.
I think that what we are dealing with politically is the much larger and much more grave and serious pressure of having this judgment against Donald Trump and him being in this degree of debt. I actually think that there is risk in not seizing these assets and the open that exists in him trying to secure these funds through other means. We've seen a lot of things happen social and other means, and there's a very real risk of political corruption.
What did she talk about? She doesn't have any idea what she's talking about here. Well, the reality is what the argument is now. They are demanding Trump pay them hundreds of millions of dollars in bonds, and simultaneously arguing that if he pays the hundreds of millions of dollars in bonds, there is now some sort of major conflict of interest apparent in that based on how Trump is going to raise the hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think ultimately, AOC doesn't understand this at all, but having gone through some of the process of seizing assets before, it's very, very good. And what I don't know that Letitia James even understands this very well. Maybe she does, but I believe this is a sham show trial prosecution. But let's say that she tries to see what's according Wall Street is one of these iconic branded entities that Trump has a substantial asset in. Well, there's all different sorts of creditors and lien holders that would be above the state of New York on this recovery process. In other words, first mortgage, second mortgage, third mortgage, other different aspects. All of those people would have to get paid off before the state of New York got anything. It's unlikely that the state of New York, which I believe hasn't proven an actual fraud, right? There's no victim here. They've never used this statute to really try to prosecute anybody. It's all made up to go after Trump because he's a Republican and they're afraid of him. And he unfortunately has a lot of assets in a blue city and a blue state, which is what's going on here.
It isn't just all of those things. He ruled the roost here for decades. I mean, you don't get your name on this many buildings unless you made a lot of people angry along the way who might have wanted their names on those buildings. And maybe some of them are in offices now. Maybe some of them have jumped into politics. We don't know the whole story, but I guarantee you it's spherical. There's so many ways around this. When a woman stands as the attorney general in a state and says, I want to get Trump, and then runs based on that, that's just not a healthy environment for fairness. Fairness is getting choked out of oxygen in that sense.
No doubt. And it's also important to recognize that Letitia James and Alvin Bragg as well can be doing what's smart for them politically in New York City and in New York State. I think both of those guys and gals would like to be governor. They would like to be senator one day. That might go down to their benefit in that state. But this, I think, is really blowing up in Democrats' face nationwide when it comes to swing voters in those swing states. Trump is up in virtually every poll out there, and every time they come after him with a new legal tactic, Harris, his poll numbers go up. And I think that's because the vast majority of Americans, they don't like Trump and agree with everything that he says, but they also don't think that we should try to bankrupt our political rivals and put them in prison for the rest of our lives, which is exactly what the Democrat establishment is doing.
We have to stay America. I mean, maybe they don't think we should, but we do. Great country. Okay, everybody's going to stay, and I'm going to bring in one more party to Big Ben right after this break. Stay close.
So, what'd you get?
2 national hot tenders and 3 lemon orange tenders.
Nice. What about you?
3 classic tenders.
4 butter smash. 4 okay. I'll win.
No. Is it always an option?
Here's a shrimp bun.
Ooh, see it, buddy? You should look at time at America's Best. America's Best. They have one of the nation's largest groups of optometrists. Oh, you're very welcome. America's Best, because eye care is healthcare. You deserve the best.
For the 4th consecutive year, Interactive Brokers is one of the fastest growing prime brokers and is now number 5 at Preakn's ranking of top prime brokers. Interactive Brokers serves both organizations and individual investors. To get better results, get a better platform. The best informed investors choose Interactive Brokers.
Winning extra Marlowe had a great result. Stabs look so much nicer.
I lack the needed money. I need time to prepare that.
Easy. Votes out. Trivago.
Get peace of mind that if you just free fruits and free veggie supplements, yes, in order to be somebody's we start by creating the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We then integrate them and grind them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated. The capsules are then shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal balance of nature success story. Get 35% off and $10 off any additional sets by using discount code BOX6.
Once retired, Marcus decided, I will never again work for another man or woman.
I abandoned my corporate phone plan, and I'm going to do plan. Consumer selling for up to half the cost.
Rasmus' description of the ritual was difficult to understand. And the note
You should
was
answer
better.
that.
I think I know how to talk with my mother again.
It means compare custom quotes from skilled service professionals or book it without drop time so you can find the best price for you. Get started today at Angie.com.
Meet Milo is part border collie and part party animal. This is a little green hydro steam pet. He's part steam powered state and part party animal patrol.
The breeze.
This one,
coming from the Black Lake.
Number one rated brand
Do you
for this
feel it?
outdoor power.
Let's hurry.
Select cut foam. Customize the cut with 3 interchangeable blades. It cuts foam for an hour on a single charge. Exclusive. Lowe's Ace and Eagle authorized dealers.
Sean tells it like it is. Get his take on the nation's hot button topics. You can't miss it. That's enough.
Mother,
They may hate each other. Who'd you rather be
can
here?
you hear me?
But they're
Run
going
for
to
my
need
pride.
each other.
It's you. I can save you from this, Mother. I promise. I can learn how to stop.
Sugar. Are they doing Titanic?
I can't be saved from my own mistakes. This body is only a husk. My spirit must pass on. And you must let me go. Mother, no. I need you. You need to move on my
And
path
courts in every
without
province
me.
and territory across
But
Canada.
I can help you one
Washington,
last
D.C.
time
for
before
wall-to-wall
I go.
fun, fitness, and
You
friendship. From
You
coast
have
to
the
coast
divine
to coast.
blessing.
Learn to play, and you'll want to do
Your
it every
play
day.
is the necessary key.
Watch. Play inside the box. If alcohol builds a wall around you, it must be real.
Mira, you were so loved.
There is a way. Information is made and download the meeting
Well, while the former President Donald Trump
The
has
way
been
is
in the
open.
hush money
We
case
have to go.
courtroom today, waiting to see whether or not they'll give him a trial
Do you
date,
think Lilith is even still here?
a judge now on his
It's
way
been so
to
long.
appealing
I'm afraid she's
the
won
case
this one.
against him has lowered
Besides,
the bond amount
I
from
have to
$454 million. That is breaking
care
it down to
of my mother.
$175 million. They're on a
It's not
break right
over
now,
yet.
so we're going to watch this camera very
Not for
closely
you.
because when he comes
Lilith
back
was
out
after Rosma.
to enter that
Find
courtroom, he may
Learn
stop and
why.
speak. He spoke earlier this morning. But what this
I'll be
means
back at
is
the
that
vault.
by lowering that threshold of the money that you would have to come up with for a bond so that an appeals process can go forward, it gives him more financial flexibility. It also speaks to the issue of fairness in all of this, which is one of the things we've been talking about since this broke about 20 minutes ago. The judge was putting forth this bond of $454 million that was accumulating daily interest against Trump. Like, it doesn't normally get applauded. So now it's closer to what Trump's attorney said they wanted, which was about $100 million bond, something that they thought their client could meet. He came close with 175. I want to bring on Phil Holloway, former assistant district attorney, friend of the show. He's by phone right now. We scooped him up as best we could. And Phil, first of all, I want to ask you about the appeals process going forward. Does this pave the way for that? Where are we in that?
Yes, I agree with you, Eric. Listen, I think this does pave the way for the appeal. Listen, we all have a right to file an appeal when we lose a trial, whether it be a criminal trial or a civil trial. And so the bond that would be required should not be so punitive and so encumbering, such as to prevent that very important right. So I think this appeal rule that lowers the amount of the bond is certainly very reasonable, particularly when you consider what the reason is that we have bonds in the first place. It's to protect victims and to make sure victims get paid. But guess what? There are no victims here. This is simply the state extracting the funds. And we also know that Trump's businesses are being overseen by a appointed, I think, a retired judge. So we know that the assets are not in risk of leaving the jurisdiction. Well, this is, I don't know why he had to post this kind of a large bond in the first place. It doesn't make sense. Unless the goal of the judge, the trial judge, was to punish Trump in a way that makes it impossible for him to appeal. This is, I think, the right ruling. It certainly opens up an avenue for the appeal. And, you know, maybe this is even arguably too high, but clearly it's an amount that Donald Trump can post.
So, Phil, would this have put the whole case in jeopardy? The judge acting, in such an unfamiliar and unprecedented way, almost a punitive way, against Donald Trump? I mean, does this put into vision a system that isn't fair?
Well, fundamental fairness is at the heart of due process, and that applies to whether it's a criminal case or a civil case. This would be the legal, I guess the business death penalty, if you will, in this particular verdict and judgment were to be allowed to be enforced against Donald Trump, particularly when you consider that there were no victims. There's nobody that was actually defrauded. So there's really, in my opinion, no reason for a bond in the first place.
Well, and not to mention the fact that the banks had all been paid, and many of them wanted to do more business with him. So not only were there not victims, there were people who were waiting, to actually benefit more by doing business with someone who had a healthy portfolio. Phil Holloway, thank you so very much for your time. I know you jumped in for us, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. We are watching that door for Donald Trump right now. And we saw some people kind of scurrying. Court may be back in session after a short break, so eventually he's going to walk through the floor, so we're told, to go back into the courtroom. Jonathan Turley, constitutional law attorney and Fox News contributor, is going to watch with me. Jonathan, your thoughts on what's transpired? You get the $454 million bond slashed to $175 million.
Well, the Court of Appeals may have felt that they can't prejudge the evidence, and so to reduce the bond further, it would have been heavy-handed. I actually think they could have reduced this bond to virtually nothing because the amount set by Enron was absurd. Most of us drilled down on these figures and could not find a there. There were no victims. There was no money lost. You had people that loaned this money and wanted more business. And so this figure seemed to just snatched out of the air, connected it with new properties, but it's very speculative. By reducing the amount, I think that this restores some element of restraint to the New York legal system. I think that the true sunk costs of this controversy has been borne by those who really wanted this thrill for long. This has not played well. I don't think it's played well with companies who were legitimately alarmed to see the New York legal system turned into this inescapable political vortex. And I think that the reduction will help assure people that there are still some adults in the room.
And I just want to just take a peek down because I think what you just laid out, we're in a very special thing. Not only driven, but I see the repercussions of what happens in the city of New. And when you put pressure on corporations here, and you say, well, look, if we catch you, doing business like you've always done business, because we went after Trump, we're going to go after everybody this way. People don't want to do business here. They don't feel like regular practices are safe to do any longer. And if you have that, especially with tech, in some ways with everything else, oh my goodness.
As many as the problems may be in New York, crime, homelessness, that's been a reality. But the benefits for businesses has been that this is a very sophisticated system that no corporations. That really something that a lot of things.
We just heard from the former president on Truth Social. This is the 5th time in this case that he has overturned a record. His credibility and that of his case has been shattered. We will abide by the decision of the appellate division and co-side respond to federal security attack. That's Donald Trump wanting to go. Jonathan Turley and all of my guests, thank you. Outnumbered after tonight.
I'm out of mana.
Shoppers, Wilden Family, except major online retailers.
I'm out of mana.
Here to tell you about my questions. Through the colonial business. If you're age 50, you can buy like
What are the three thieves?
The three keys of life insurance for fixed budget are price, price, and price. A price you can afford, a price that can't increase, and a price that fits your budget. I'm 54.
What's my price?
You can get coverage for $9.95. I'm 65 and take medications. What's my price? Also $9.95.
I just turned 80. What's my price?
$9.95 a month for you too. If you're age 50 to 85, call now.
And so now what we're watching is the former president. From moments ago, we knew that there was a break in the case. I'm going to ask my team, can we listen to him now? I know we're trying to provide audio on him. Let's watch.
Should not be allowed back. Then you're
Well, we missed a bit of him, but he had just posted on Truth Social. So if we have that ready, we at least know the gist of what he was saying. The breaks have been, at least this last one was fairly lengthy. His talks in front of the microphones today have been very short. And so he gets to do somewhat of a victory lap today, the former president of the United States, because his attorneys had asked that ridiculous amount of $454 million bond that the judge slapped on him to be reduced to something like $100 million. The judge did bring it down to $175 million, and that has been the breaking news for about 23 minutes. And in response to that, there is a call for more fairness in this case. Now the former president can move forward after he proves this, and in his Truth Social, he said he'll do that through securities, through cash, whatever he needs to do, this $175 million bond amount, and they will go forward to appeal the case against him. And you just heard on the Foster focus, as we were wrapping up, Jonathan Turley, all of my guests on last hour. Bill Holloway, federal prosecutors in the mix there. All of them agree there are no victims in this case. And the money that was dealt with for purchasing properties for the Trump Corporation, the ones that have Donald Trump in gold, brass and gold letters around the city of New York, all those banks are paying the amounts that they were owed. And in fact, it was good business to them. They wanted to do more of it. And what Jonathan Turley and I was talking about is the fact that, well, you're going to scare some other corporations and businesses in New York City. And what is this cash-strapped city going to look like then? There are a lot of things that need fixing in New York, not the least of which are the thousands of people who now are sleeping on the streets, both homeless, organically citizens here, but also the illegal immigrants that are here. The mayor of New York City had promised when he ran as a candidate that maybe he would not release the vote. So you have a lot of things going on in the city, and if you make this constellation toxic for corporations, if you set the example by going after Donald Trump, who's been so successful in the city, what does that say to them? They're not all Trump. But if you go after them, you put the judge pitching to some flavor of fairness today, dropping this bond amount to $175 billion. You heard Jonathan Turley at Blogsburg just tell me, well, that's really too much. It should have been zero. Why are we even doing this? There are no victims in the case. Let's go now to Eric Shawn, who's live outside the New York State Supreme Court in Manhattan. So, Eric, a very short comment from the former president moments ago.
Yes, but one that speaks loudly because the former president has been given a big break and a big win for the New York State Court here, cutting down the size of the bond that was posted. The former president on Truth Social saying that he will post the amount set by the appellate division in the last hour for a statement from the five-judge panel. Basically cutting down the bond that the former president must put up by more than 60%. As you know, we've been reporting New York State Attorney General Letitia James had been ordered basically to potentially start enforcing that $454 million bond. That amount set by Judge Unger and Goron in New State for our trial, but the appellate court now has cut that down to $175 million if the former president puts that up in the next 10 days. And we heard the former president do his social post say that he would indeed do that. There are other defeats for Attorney General James in this decision. Also, the judge had ruled that the former president cannot do business in New York State, and Trump executives are barred from doing business. The appellate court judges also struck that down. So this morning, a major victory for former President Trump from the appellate court. We do expect that he will be able to post that $175 billion bond. That means that Attorney General James will not be able and will not move forward to try and seize any of Trump's properties or any of his cash and other assets in order to try and satisfy the $454 million bond. It's at that 175, which we do expect. It's a bit of a different story though with the cash behind the hush money trial, given the stormy brand and such to Trump trying to put accounts of a business project. Number two of the phone store here is former fictional car. His lawyers have been seeking to again delay this criminal trial once again. But it seems that Judge Barr Trump is not going to have any of that. The issue this morning has to do with the hundreds of thousands of pages the feds turned over to the state, dealing with Michael Cohen, but the judge says the only few hundred is not the one that's not able to calm me down in the last few weeks. The judge did delay this trial until April 15th. What we're reporting now, Harris, is that the hush money trial will likely go on April 15th, but the judge here will not grant another delay. But we don't have that yet. We'll have to see. There's so much time. A big win for the former president.
I lack the leadership.
And we'll cover obviously everything that comes out. The big news this hour is that Trump is on, and we'll get to that. We're watching Outnumbered now. I'm Karen Foster with my co-host Emily Campagna and Kayla McEnany. Also joining us, President Cruz is a senior fellow with the Congress and co-host of The Bottom Line on Fox Business. Great to have everybody here. Here is the former President Donald Trump from moments ago. Moments after the decision. This is the fifth time in this case that he has been overturned a record. His credibility and that of Letitia James has been shattered. We will abide by the decision of the appellate division and post either a bond, equivalent securities, or cash. This also shows how ridiculous and outrageous Engoron's original decision was at $450 million. I did nothing wrong, and New York should never be put in a position like this again. So that was Truth Social, and there was more now because he's posted a couple times. I won't go on too long. But Judge Engoron has refused to obey the decision of the appellate division relative of the statute of limitations. This is a confrontation between a judge and those that rule above him. A very bad situation in which to place New York State and the rule of law.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have gone over and over and said it like convenient death force that these are unprecedented cases. We've put up time and time again. Associated Press analysis, New York Times analysis, presumably analyses that liberals will respect, right? Well, what do we see in each of these unprecedented cases? They continue to be overturned either in whole or in part. The Supreme Court with the Maine ballot case, the Supreme Court Colorado ballot case, now you have this judgment being reduced. I agree with John, really it should be zero, but nevertheless being reduced. You go down to Georgia, Bonnie Willis, the RICO charges being thrown out. You see constant overreach. And I encourage viewers, ask yourself, why? Why do you see constant overreach? The only answer you can get to is these are partisan left-wing actors in the form of Letitia James and Alvin Bragg.
So Charlotte had kind of a different epiphany during the last hour. I mean, it's an election year for an incumbent president, so I get it. It's politics. But what are these other people being promised? I mean, you've got Letitia James, Attorney General of New York. You would say arguably with some things to lose. She's out there down. I mean, gonna get Trump. I mean, who does that? That's so low class. But you know what it is? It's not fair. It's not fair in our legal and justice system to behave that way.
So the point is not fair, but Letitia James is playing to her audience, the whole left-wing political base in New York City, and they love when she won on the fact that she promised to go after Donald Trump, right? That was the political message, and she's still talking when she delivered on that promise, and I think New Yorkers still love it, right? But to the point of $174, $75 million, again, Donald Trump, that's what they for him. It's still a massive amount of money. What they've done is they've preserved Donald Trump's right to appeal by lowering the bond so that he can actually meet. But what they're really doing here is they're preserving the Democrat Party. Because if Letitia James was out seizing Donald Trump's properties, it's over for Democrats. I think most Americans see the war that's been waged on Donald Trump, whether it's in Georgia or in New York or in Florida, in Washington, D.C., Democrats go, but this is way too much. Who does this to the lead presidential candidate and of charges we've never seen? Victims that aren't there. What the hell are you doing? The
$175 million bond doesn't absolve them from being that hungry, that thirsty. It doesn't want to go away.
But I think what it does, the war on Trump is just powder them, right? Because he's going to be able to meet the bond, he's going to be able to appeal, that's going to forestall the inevitable, which again is a massive chaos that Donald Trump is going to have to make in a city that's more about politics than business.
Emily, we showed a little while ago a big Trump Tower sign on Fifth Avenue. It's iconic. What does this mean now that James won't be able to rip down the letters of Trump Tower?
At least for a moment, I feel like there's, I don't know, a slight, maybe restored thing, just temporarily in the justice system, or at least that it's not as tainted as this whole thing that sort of appeared from the beginning. I'd like to carry your ball just a couple yards further, and that's the war on Trump. And I want to point out how deeply it extends, how much people in power bend and sway to what they perceive as pressure from those left lips. And I want to talk about the Chubb CEO. So according to Trump organizations, their attorneys, Chubb was going to potentially underwrite the second bond for them, right? They would accept liquid assets, they would accept real property. Well, word got apparently to the brokers, the investors, and their customers. So cut to the Chubb CEO writing a letter to everyone, oh, I'm so sorry, right? The typical narrative, where once again, the uproar that ensued from them just being part of, as he said, the plumbing of the criminal justice system. I mean, he said, we don't play a part. If we put up bonds, like we are not rooting for the defendant. Essentially, money has no color, money has no side type thing. But lo and behold, he too pulled out because the pressure was too great. So what concerns me is that if you go again into the voting in November, just remember that the people in power are making this decision to get that pressure. But we're on Trump, but it's the people who have the power. Ultimately, it's us at the voting booth. Please vote now.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, Rebecca. People should be angry about the fact that this has been handled in such an unfair way. Well, I keep coming back to this idea of, you have people who are maybe not necessarily sold on the crime. They've been flagging in their support, and we have this happen, and then all of a sudden galvanizing even the most skeptical people who maybe have voted in support of President Trump previously, have gotten tired of all the drama, and they say, wait a second, this is about the law. This is about laws being applied fairly, and then the punishment fitting the crime. So I'm a national security policy, average American here, not a lawyer. So I wanted to know how unprecedented was this was this money? Was this amount of money that he was expected to pay? Bitcoin fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried's bail was $250 million. Notorious Ponzi schemer Bernie Madoff's bail was initially set for $10 million. And these were people who had victims in their crimes. Yeah. So we know that because he's running for president, Donald Trump's running for president, and it really signals that as long as you don't go after the Democratic machine, you're not going to have a huge penalty. It makes me think of New York City as somewhat a barrel of crap. Like, who's going to make it out? They didn't want him to be the one who made it out. They wanted to make it out. The Democrats wanted to be the ones on top. Letitia James, the Attorney General, who said she wanted to get Trump, her office, has responded, so they would respond. Here's the quote. Donald Trump is still facing accountability for staggering fraud. The court has already found that he engaged in years of fraud to falsely inflate his net worth and unjustly enrich himself, his family, and his organization. The $464 million judgment, plus interest, against Donald Trump and the other defendants still stand. In what world does it stand? Well, not in
I'm not walking all that out of your fucking mind.
She said that the fines can be used to undermine the base, chill the speech of political enemies, and as a form of retribution, which is exactly what's happening here. Massive fines to chill the speech of the lead presidential candidate, and Letitia James loves it. She has the power to use it, and she's exercising it, but the American people look at this and go, way too much. They see right through the law that's happening. Just a couple of extra seconds. You worked with former Donald Trump. What is this day like for him today?
Well, I imagine it's not a day he ever thought it was dreams he'd have to go through. I mean, we knew that justice was stacked in one direction, unfortunately, but today I think there's probably a little bit of celebration that there's a fair-minded judge at the appellate level. But nevertheless, he knows what he's up against. I do think politically, though, to your point,
You can take
this
what's
put a
left.
tailwind behind him. I saw some polling today that shows even with some convictions, the polling is starting to level out. Even with a conviction. So a lot of this is baked in. I think a lot of people just want to be able to afford their houses and bring down the price of groceries, and that's what this election is.
Donald Trump's not down. Listen, and again, he seems angry when he speaks, right? He's very serious, but he is in great spirits. He's out golfing. He's having a great time. He's socializing with friends. This is not bringing the man down at all.
That's how we're doing. If I were out golfing, my world would come to an end. I'm terrible at it. Up next. It was a rough weekend for Vice President Kamala Harris. Critics now are going for her. They're really criticizing the Vice President for her, quote, shameful warning to Israel, for blaming Republicans for the border crisis, and for this. Watch.
Has been like this personal journey. The journey of inner peace.
It's how I learned to compartmentalize my life.
And how I learned to go further than I ever imagined.
Sometimes the journey gets a little messy. Pacific 2023. Mexico Pacific. Get 0% financing for 60 months. Plus, you may qualify for up to a $7,500 federal tax credit on the 2023 Chrysler Pacific plug-in hybrid.
Veteran homeowners, if you need cash, the last thing you want to do is spend cash just to see if you qualify for a home loan. Yet some lenders charge hundreds of dollars in upfront fees just to apply. They keep your money even if you get turned down.
Alright guys, good time to save here. Alright, peace out.
No upfront termite inspection fee and no upfront water test fee. Not $1 out of pocket. Give us a call.
Call 1-800-311-7523.